Need some suspension work and shocks and brakes, brake pads, lining, steering box, transmission, rear end.
Ka-chow.
Just don't see no cars! It works! I love this button!
Always remember, if you ain't first, you're last.
It's 106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
All right, welcome back to the Unnamed Movie Car Podcast, recording at you live from, I guess, Radiator Springs.
Kind of
All over the place, a little bit of Florida.
Yeah, I guess. Well, yeah,
Because today we're talking about Cars 3.
Yeah.
Which
Trace.
Now that I'm thinking about it,
Yeah.
they actually named Florida in the movie, so
Yes,
we know that this
they
takes
do.
place in physical America.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's not.
Radiator Springs was always a fictional place,
That's
right?
right. That is not just a.
Well, actually, wasn't
Is
the
there-
Piston Cup in
I don't-
California?
Did
they ever say that?
They name a couple different things.
Okay.
They name a couple. But
Well,
anyway,
if you
yes,
guys aren't
so-
familiar with the podcast, thank you so much for listening for the first time. We wait
Yep.
the first 10 minutes to really talk about the actual movie to avoid any spoilers or things
yeah,
like
the
that.
timer's ticking.
So the timer is ticking.
Because we got a lot of spoilers on this one.
We do. We actually have a lot of trivia for this one.
Good.
The
good, I'm
IMDb
glad.
was chock full of it, and there's
Yeah.
also a couple little Easter eggs I want to talk about.
And
and what's
I
up?
as usual have nothing.
Yeah, that's actually I have a surprisingly
Nothing
low
at
amount
all.
of notes for
Really?
this time
Okay,
around.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised.
To break the fourth
All right.
wall for a second, we actually
Yeah.
haven't recorded one of these in quite a
no,
while.
it's been a while.
It's been a little bit.
Yeah. Been a couple minutes, was
yeah.
they say, or whatever.
But you guys don't notice because
Yeah.
we're so professional and we upload every week.
Yeah.
What was last time we did Acceleration. That's what
Did
we talked
we?
about last episode.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Which was so bad.
Acceleration.
with
What?
not Lou Ferrigno.
Oh, what? No.
What?
That would be the Hulk. No.
Why can't I think of his name now?
No, it's
Ooh.
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
No.
It's the
Opposite
guy who
of
played
Rocky.
the guy who played opposite Rocky.
Why can't I think of his
I know.
name?
I'm sure people are yelling out right now. They're shouting at the screen or whatever.
Well, so
yeah,
since we
so it's the
recorded
guy,
that episode,
Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph
Since
Lundgren.
we recorded that
Thank you.
episode,
All right.
I've been watching Workaholics.
I heard you out there.
Yeah.
Someone said it. I heard them say Dolph Lundgren.
I've been watching Workaholics, which
And,
is a old Comedy Central show.
Yes.
And they
Yeah.
have a fake action movie that they love.
What? Really?
In the show. It's
And
a fake
it's-
action movie, and actually in the fake action movie is Dolph Lundgren.
No.
Yeah.
What is it called? Acceleration?
No. God, no.
Deceleration?
I
Is
don't
it-
know. Neutral is actually what it's
Neutral.
called.
Neutral drop.
Park
You
reverse
ever
neutral
done a
drive.
neutral drop? You ever
Have I done a neutral drop?
Yeah.
Um,
Are you gonna like admit to me in one of our cars? you did a
because
neutral
most of the
drop
cars
and
I've
me-
driven have been
Yeah.
well,
pretty
not
much.
actually most now. I've personally owned 5 cars
Have you?
that have not been yours,
Oh no.
and they've
oh,
all
yeah.
and they've all been
One,
Mazdas.
2. Yeah, I was gonna say 1,
3
2, 3,
RX-7s, a Miata, and my Mazda
Oh,
3.
I always forget about the Miata.
Everyone forgets about the
All right.
Miata. It was
Not-
exactly 90
I
days.
didn't mean it to.
Yeah.
All right. That's
You know, I think
okay.
I park dropped the truck on accident
I'm sure.
once.
Who didn't?
I
Who
was
didn't?
rolling up to my friend's house, and we were just chatting, and the truck hadn't fully come to a stop, and
Yeah.
I put it in park, and it locked the wheels
Yeah.
up and skirt.
I almost ran over myself with the truck. So
Yeah, it's true.
that's-
I
anyway.
also,
Yep.
I think I accidentally put the truck in reverse doing like 20.
Yeah, that
I
happens.
was going through a neighborhood, and
Yeah.
I was a teenager, so I used to
Yeah.
put it into neutral,
Sure.
and I would rev it
Yeah.
because we had that open dump pipe.
Right.
You remember that? We had that
I do.
eBay dump pipe.
Yeah, we got a
and
an
so
eBay cut off.
I remember this vividly. I was with my friend Ryan in a neighborhood,
Yeah.
and I went to go rev it, and the truck's was a column shifter and very, very vague.
Okay.
Very vague,
All right.
if you remember. The
Yeah.
actual,
yes.
like, putting it
yes.
into gears.
Yes, you barely.
Which is funny because I recently reviewed
Yeah.
a 1982 Ford LTD,
Yeah.
which ex-police car
Oh, okay.
from 1982. And it was a column shift, and the owner was like, "Yeah, you got to you can't go by the guide on the dashboard."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
"I know, sir.
Yeah,
I know how this game works."
Yeah.
Because the little guide on the dashboard says it's in neutral, but it's actually in drive. It gets off over the years.
And was ours a 97 or 98?
Ours
Dodge
was
Ram?
98.
98 Dodge Ram.
Sport, 5.9, two-wheel
Yeah.
drive,
Yeah.
long bed, single cab.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm driving through this neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
and I go to drop it into neutral to give it a couple revs.
Yep.
And I drop it into reverse.
Yeah, there you go.
And it screeched the tires. It locked up, and I remember vividly there was a girl on a tire swing. She couldn't have been older than 4, and she started crying. And I dumped it back into drive.
I'm sorry.
I guess neutral was up, so I went
Yeah.
up 2 instead of up 1 into neutral. I went up 2 into
Yeah.
reverse.
Yeah.
Screechy tires. Girl starts crying. I slam it down into 1, actually, all the way down at the bottom
Yeah.
of the shifter, and just peeled out of that and then stuck it up into drive.
So
I was
she's
so embarrassed.
probably 11 years old now and still has nightmares.
Probably scarred.
Probably scarred for life because of your neutral reverse drop.
Yeah,
But,
that truck got a lot of abuse from me.
From everyone.
Well,
Are
I
you
jumped
kidding?
it too. I
Yeah.
got all 4 wheels off the ground.
Did you? That's really scary in that truck. That is.
Did not mean to.
Them Duke boys.
Also in a
Yeah.
Dodge product. Also in a Mopar product.
Right.
There
you go.
I was off-roading it, quote unquote. Back in high school,
Down
off-roading.
about that time, Zach was heading down to the bayou and
Back
that's
in that time, off-roading was driving through the grass
right.
in a
Yeah, well, that's
a
off-road.
place. Yeah, but to high
Yeah.
schoolers, we thought we were the coolest people in the world.
Of course.
Starts raining,
Yep.
and this truck is 2-wheel drive, probably bald tires, honestly.
Usually,
And I was
yes,
like,
it was.
I don't want to
bald
get
tires.
stuck, so I start going kind of fast, and I see this ditch. Well,
Yeah.
I really didn't see the ditch, and I definitely didn't see how deep it was because the truck went down, popped up.
This story keeps changing. Yes.
And I know it. Well, I know it went all 4 wheels off because my foot was on the gas, and as soon as it left the ground, the truck revved super freely, and it slammed back down. I think it cracked the front suspension.
How long were you in the air? Like 4 minutes or something like that? It sounds like that from the story. That
If it was a modern movie, there was 18 different camera angles.
Exactly.
Yeah, slammed
you're-
back down. I
Right.
ruined the front bumper I had put on
Probably,
maybe
yeah.
2 weeks beforehand.
Yes,
that new
that's
front
right.
bumper.
We did put on
It was
a new
a
front
300.
bumper.
That was the most expensive thing I'd ever bought at the
Yep,
time.
yep.
It was a $300 front bumper.
Yeah, well worth it. I always wondered why that bumper was.
Slammed it in, broke it, broke the plate mount. We had to go back and find the license plate.
Did you?
It was
Yeah.
dug in the ground.
Okay.
I think I cracked the front spring when that happened because when we got rid of that
Oh,
truck,
yeah,
the
you
front
probably
spring
did,
was
yeah.
cracked,
Yeah, it
and I
was,
would
yeah.
imagine that
Yeah.
that
That's
sort of
probably-
compression was.
I mean, obviously I laugh about it now. It was our old beat up truck. and
Yeah.
who cares? But yeah. and
I also
we
did a
don't have
donut into a pole with it.
it. Well, I
Fixed
think
that with a hammer though.
that was in the back left or back right, right? It was back passenger side.
Rear passenger because I didn't want you guys
Yeah.
to see it, so I backed the truck in that
Yeah,
night.
that's fine.
We the next morning took it to a friend's house. We hit it with a
Here's-
hammer from the backside.
Here's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
We knew all about that stuff. I mean,
Oh,
we
really?
didn't really know. We didn't know
Yeah.
exactly the details.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, I mean, Mom would be like, oh, there's a new dent. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. It wasn't like any big deal.
But I mean, everyone's first car should be a beater.
Oh,
You took the side of a car out in a bank.
Oh, yeah.
bank,
First time I was out, I had my learning permit, and I went to drive through a bank drive-up, and it had these stone pillars, these aggregate stone pillars that were really rough. And I went to go through the drive-up and was way too close.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I heard, it was much worse than that. And I scraped up the entire side of the car, and I was scared out of my mind.
Yeah.
And I took the car home. I'm like, I'm never going to drive again. No one's ever going to, I'm never going to get
Yeah.
my license, blah, blah, blah. And my mom was like, whatever. My dad laughed. So it was
Yeah.
just like,
What
yeah,
car was
whatever.
this?
It was the Dodge Monaco.
Oh, it was the Monaco.
It was the Dodge Monaco, yeah.
So I reviewed that LTD in a 88 Mercury Colony Park, if anyone knows
Oh,
what
yeah?
the heck that is.
Oh, I don't know.
The
Whatever.
guy owns a bunch of old 70s cars. And I
Yeah.
said, if you ever find a clean Dodge Monaco,
Yeah.
buy
Yeah.
it so I can review
Yeah.
it.
Exactly. No, that's,
I was like, I want to drive
yeah.
a Monaco so bad.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah, it's
because
a
I still
great
have it.
car. It's a
And
tank.
I think that's my goal for 2022 is to drive more of those more average 70s cars.
Well, lately you've done a couple really cool older.
Yeah, I did that 79 Lincoln Continental.
Yep.
And
I
did
the wagon.
Yeah, the 88 Colony Park. That's the wagon I sent you.
Okay, yeah.
The 82
Yep.
Ford LTD.
Yep.
Last year I did a 78 Lincoln Town Car. And actually because of the LTD I filmed, I got offered a 1980 Continental.
Okay.
Which is when they started to shrink again, so it's a different body style. It's the Mark, I want to say Mark 5 or Mark 6.
Okay.
Something like that.
All right.
So my goal for next year is just to drive more 70s boat,
fun,
average
Yep.
American cars.
gas guzzlers.
Yeah, because it's actually been really interesting learning about the whole gas crisis. And, and I also drove a 1979 Low Red Express from Dodge.
Oh, yeah.
Which
nice.
is such a
Yeah,
cool
yeah.
story because that's the epitome of the gas crisis car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because anything over 6,000 pounds didn't need a catalytic converter.
Okay.
So Dodge said, here's our 6,000 pound truck, which when put on a scale is not actually 6,000 pounds.
Oh,
It was
okay.
like mid fives, but whatever.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So they threw the big engine in it, no catalytic converter, and it was the fastest American car for 2 years.
Wow.
Just because it didn't have
fun.
to have emission standards.
Yeah,
so I
that's
drove
cool.
one of those
That's
in
cool.
Kansas City
Yeah.
a couple months ago.
Okay.
So,
All right.
yeah.
Want to do a couple shout outs though.
Oh,
because
yeah.
Right. Yeah. So first, of course, Paul Shin.
Paul Shin.
Paul Shin.
Shout out to Craig Lieberman.
Craig Lieberman. And I want to shout out to Bella, who is not your girlfriend, but
not my girlfriend.
Bella
Yeah.
the dog. If you're listening, Bella the dog.
Shout out to Bella the dog.
Bella
Shares a name
Schubert.
with my girlfriend.
Schubert, yeah. So Jory Schubert's dog Bella. Bella is our number one dog listener.
Number one dog listener
Yeah.
for 2021.
Shout out.
That's
right. We
it'll
may
be a tough
having-
running next year.
Next year, lots and lots
Yes.
of dogs. that are
Actually,
running.
no, for real. We're
Yep.
so over our winter break, we're gonna work on our website.
Yes.
and
we are.
We, and by we I mean you.
Right.
Are,
that is one thing I will actually
yeah,
do for this
you are
podcast.
going to code
I
a way
am
for
gonna-
people to
Yep.
submit their dogs listening
Yes.
to the podcast.
Yes. So
Well,
dog
maybe we'll have a
listeners.
dog listener of the
Yeah.
week.
So that is like the big announcement. You just gave like the big announcement.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's good. But
we're switching a lot of stuff up for 2022.
yep. We're gonna have
and
a website.
We will be taking a slight hiatus at the
Yep.
beginning of the year,
Mhm.
just to recollect ourselves, do a little bit of reworking behind the scenes, so we could give you guys the best show we can for 2022.
Yep.
And the big announcement, I want to say,
Yeah.
on
What
air.
is it?
This is a exclusive.
Ex-
Next year,
yes.
2022,
Whatever.
the thumbnails
Oh yeah, that's
will
right.
be
Brrr, drum roll.
done in crayon.
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 Wink.
I've been-
wink.
Ecto 1, really? All right.
Well, I was doing like the,
like the DJ.
Yes, I
That
was
sounded
doing like the DJ.
sounded really accurate to the Ecto 1. Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Now that
I've been using, so I hand draw all the thumbnails you see on YouTube.
yes, actually
um,
hand drawn.
And so I'm switching over to crayon next year
by an actual
because
hand.
it'll actually last longer. The markers I've been using, I've bought like probably 4 packs of markers.
Yeah.
Just over the course of the year,
Yeah.
and they're not cheap.
Yeah.
Even like the Crayolas.
that really ate into our $151 million budget. So
God, we haven't made any $151 million jokes.
So
recently.
$150 million was spent on markers.
Right, our whole budget went towards markers,
That's
and
it.
A4 printer paper. So
right.
we are
Exactly, yes.
Staples
Yep,
Gold members,
yep,
but
we are.
Other than
They-
that,
we walk in, they're like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yeah,
They know
us
us
by name.
Yep,
It's like Cheers.
exactly. Yep.
um,
So yes,
we're way past.
Okay, we're way
10 minutes,
past
so
our-
we can actually talk
so
about the
we can-
movie. What'd you think of
All
Cars
right.
3? This was your
So-
pick.
was it my pick?
This was your
Yeah,
pick.
it was
yeah.
my pick. Okay, sure.
Well, you picked it. You were
I
like.
did.
You're
Well-
like, oh, let's watch Cars 3.
Yeah.
And then we stopped recording the podcast, and you're like, I've already watched it. And I was like, oh, okay.
I did.
And then we waited like 2 weeks, and then now I watched it.
Yeah, I actually did rewatch it, so I got a little
okay.
refresher. So
Yeah.
that's good. I liked the movie. It was a throwback to the first Cars
Mm-hmm.
movie. More of the story of what's his name? Speed Racer. What's his name?
Lightning McQueen?
Lightning McQueen. Yeah, that's what I said. And anyway, it's more of a throwback to his story. It's not the Mater story, which was really Cars 2.
Right.
was really
Yeah.
Mater's secret agent story.
Right.
This one was it's much so I have mixed feelings about it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, to a certain degree, I'm like, oh, this is great. They did another great story and all that. And then to the other extent or the extreme or whatever, I'm kind of like, nah, it wasn't that incredibly interesting or exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, I saw the plot a million miles away. This was as predictable as a Hallmark movie.
Really?
Oh yeah. To me, it was like I totally saw that coming. I knew exactly what was going to happen, and I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. So I knew what was going to happen at the end, and we're past spoilers, so I can say that.
Yeah.
That McQueen becomes Lightning blah 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 blah. Lightning McQueen becomes the coach of the cruise.
Yeah.
So the
I forget her full name, but it's Cruz.
Yeah,
Chevy Cruz.
Chevy Cruz, right? Her Cruz Menendez or something. I don't know. I don't know.
I want to
just
say
made that
Cruz
up
McGee,
completely.
but
I
that's
don't
not
think
right.
it was Cruz McGee. No, but anyway, so I saw that, and it was kind of like, okay, I expected it, so whatever. I don't know. I kind of have mixed feelings. It wasn't like super great. It wasn't.
I really liked it.
Did you really?
I
yeah,
did.
I'm
I really
interested.
liked it. I think coming off of Cars 2.
Yeah.
Just skip Cars 2.
Cars 2 Electric Boogaloo. I think is the name
mean,
of
like,
it.
really,
Yeah.
you can just not. If you watched Cars 1 and then Cars 3 back to back,
yes,
you really wouldn't miss much. I read on the trivia page that there's like, a nod to this that happened in Cars 2.
Yeah.
But it's like such like a weird.
Very minor.
Cars
Very
2
minor
is.
stuff.
I'm trying to think of like an analogy in pop culture. You know what? Honestly, Cars 2 is the Mustang 2.
Really? You think?
No one cared about the Mustang 2. Why did they name it the Mustang 2? And also, there's the Bronco 2.
Yeah.
I don't know why Ford tried to do that.
I don't know.
But then, so you had the original Mustang, the fastback, the car from Bullitt,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
Then you had the Mustang 2,
Yep.
which no one cares about. Super ugly.
I don't know. It was okay.
And then you have the Fox body, which is cool again. And
See, I didn't think the Fox body was as cool as the 2.
well, the
but
Fox
anyway,
body
so,
is still like a pretty popular chassis.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. 'Cause that's what I had, wasn't it?
Yeah, you had a Fox body. You had like an early Fox body, like an 83.
It was. It looked though like an Omni.
Yeah.
It did.
Well, the Fox body ran till 92 or 93.
Okay.
I think 93.
Yeah.
So like
it was a T-top. I
yeah.
had a T-top.
The 90s Fox bodies, the early 90s ones are really good, and they're they have the 5 liters and all that stuff.
Yeah, no, that's cool. But
the Mustang 2 is kind of like that. You just kind of skip over it in the history, or if you want to get into Miatas, the NC Miata, you just kind of skip over. The NA and NB is good, NC is whatever, and then the ND is good again.
Okay.
So I don't know. It's sort of that you could just skip it, and if you're not really gonna miss much.
All right.
It was just such Cars 2 was just such an offshoot.
Yeah, it was, but I mean, it was okay. It's interesting because I would say it was a little bit more interesting than this movie, but So,
well, think about it. Let's boil it down. The essence here, right?
All right.
First movie.
Yep.
In Radiator Springs.
Yep.
The whole town comes together around Lightning McQueen after he messes up.
And it's
he
all
wins
about
the big race.
Yeah, it's all about them and Lightning McQueen and everyone in Radiator Springs. Right.
Movie 2. They're international secret agents in Japan and France.
Well, really, Mater is.
Mater is an international spy in Japan and France. And Lightning McQueen is there, and cars are getting murdered.
Yes.
Movie 3, it's about racing in Radiator Springs and coming back to your roots and winning the Piston Cup.
All right.
So, it's like there was a weird fever dream in the middle. You know what I mean? It was just like...
I get you. I understand. I understand that point of view. But,
also,
at least,
it was super unredeeming that all of the characters from Cars 2...
Yeah.
Or, okay, the better way to phrase it is none of the characters from Cars 2... made a reappearance in Cars 3. What happened to Finn McMissile?
Oh, yeah. That's right.
What happened to Michael Caine, who actually was in my dream the other night, which was really weird.
Hello, Michael Caine. That's a really bad accent.
Well, I think it was because
Yeah.
I was texting with my girlfriend.
Yep.
And I forget what we were talking about. Oh, we were talking about the Aston Martin F1 team.
Ah.
And I was like, I would love an Aston Martin DB5.
Yeah.
The James Bond car.
Right.
And so I sent her a picture of it. And she goes, oh, Finn McMissile.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like, oh, God. But I was also like, actually,
Yeah,
you know, that's
yeah.
what it was styled after.
It
in,
was,
in
yeah,
Cars
definitely.
too.
Oh, most definitely, yeah.
But then none of those characters made a return.
No, it's true. You're right. Yes, none of them made a return, which maybe Cars 4.
Well, if you have the time, go on YouTube and look up Cars 4 SNL. Saturday Night Live did a spoof of Cars 4 because Owen Wilson was hosting a few months ago.
Yeah,
and
it's hilarious.
It's basically Lightning McQueen getting canceled.
Yes,
and it's really, really funny.
Yeah, it is. But no, okay, so maybe Cars 5.
Yeah,
it was redeeming, and they bring back the stuff.
So
it would be fun. Yes.
Yeah. So anyway,
what
getting
else?
past that, I
Yeah,
really
what
like
else
this
did you
movie.
think about it?
I think it was a nice return to Radiator Springs.
Yes.
And racing, and one of my favorite parts of the original Cars movie was the Americana.
Yes. Yes.
Like we always go to the Volo
Yep.
Auto Museum. The
Yep,
Volo
yep, yep,
Auto
yep.
Museum in Illinois has the same vibe as the first and third Cars movie, where it's like, you know, 50s diners and light string music
Where
and
actually
big cars.
Jory Schubert was today.
Oh, shout out.
Yeah, shout out to Jory and Volo.
but
Shout out to Volo.
Shout out to Volo
Yep.
Auto Museum
Yep.
if you're in Illinois.
Pretty cool. Pretty darn cool. Yep.
But I thought it was a nice return to that.
Yes.
I thought
it
the
is.
story was interesting enough. I did kind of see it coming.
Yeah.
I didn't see it happening mid-race. I figured it would have happened before the race.
Right. Yes. Yes. That he would.
That he would just realize it and then say, "Hey, why don't you race instead?"
Yes. Exactly.
Also, I didn't see the Demolition Derby was a fun touch.
It was.
I thought that was a fun sequence.
Yes. Yeah. I think that was great. Did you notice the pizza truck in there?
Yes, the Pizza Planet truck.
Pizza Planet truck. That's awesome. That was so cool that they hid that in there.
Well, and then the Pizza Planet sign on the top
rocket
flies into the audience, and one of the guys catches it, and he's like, "I got it!" Like a fly ball at a game.
Yeah,
so I do have some
that was
notes.
Really great. Yes, that was fun.
First of all, with the races,
yes,
I thought it was interesting how they have to find new people as opposed to just like upgrading cars. Because I was kind of upset at that at one point, where
find new people.
Well, the people are the cars, right?
Right.
So you can't just like upgrade to a new chassis.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So at first I was kind of upset because I was like, why? In no racing series would they run old cars versus new cars? I mean, there's homologation rules that are required in order to make it relatively competitive. Now, people always skirt the rules and bore out their engines secretly more, whatever to get that edge. But you're never going to see in an official race basically like an 85 RX-7 and a 2021, I don't know, MX-5.
Right.
You're not going to see that because the technology's different and they build the cars to be at a certain level. So it was seeing the mix of old and new. I'm like, oh, that kind of wouldn't happen. But then I was like, I guess in the Cars universe, it kind of would make sense because like you're hiring and firing people. It's not a thing of like homologation.
Right.
It's you're hiring and firing your workers.
Right. Exactly.
So I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense.
So age discrimination is
I guess so, yeah.
What we have here.
Which I was watching
What we have here is
age
discrimination.
Is that your Bill Cosby?
No.
What we got here is a yellow pudding snack.
No, that was my Cool Hand Luke, the sheriff or the warden in Cool Hand Luke.
I don't know
he
what
was
that
very
is.
he was very the movie's Cool Hand Luke. He's very famous for saying, "What we have here is failure to communicate." And I don't. Now I understand that does sound like.
See, there's an
It
impressionist on
sounds like Bill
TikTok,
Cosby.
and he always talks about how like if you just change a pitch of something,
Yeah.
you'll get a different impression.
True.
So he'll like start with one and then like pitch it up a little bit, and it's a different impression of someone else.
Okay.
So like you're
that's good.
like just changing pitch from your Cosby impression. You're like slowly you make it a little bit more cohesive, and you have the cop, but then you make it a little bit less cohesive, and you got the Jello
And the
pudding.
Jello pudding, the pudding pop. Okay.
Getting
All
back to
right,
the
yes.
notes, I thought it
All
was funny when Lightning McQueen loses the first time.
Yep.
And he's in his garage and he's
Yeah.
in primer.
Yes.
I thought that was a funny.
Yes,
you know, like
yes. That's
there's
like
always
being in
this scene-
sweats.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what I said.
Yep.
Is that the gray primer was like his sweatpants?
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yep.
Sally's talking about how the smell in there, and
Yep.
I thought it was funny that like letting yourself go is just like
Absolutely.
just being in primer.
Right.
Which is pretty funny.
Yeah, I thought that was great. I thought it was a great move on their part. Yeah.
I did laugh out loud when he's sitting outside waiting to talk to the new boss.
Yeah.
He's sitting outside the office and there's that little cleaning person and it just stares at him. Do you remember that scene?
Wait, what was this? Oh, yeah,
It-
right.
I don't know
right.
what it is. It's not like
Yeah.
a go-kart. It's
No.
it's like Guido.
No, but it's one of those machines that cleans the floor.
Yeah. And they
It's
just
an
like make
automatic-
eye contact.
No, he does. But Lightning McQueen is half daydreaming, and
Right.
he thinks he hears the floor vacuum cleaner, whatever it is, say, "You're old and done,"
Right.
and really he says, "The floors are done."
Yeah.
And so I thought that was very funny.
But
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious
Yeah.
where it was just cleaning the
Yep.
floors and just staring at it. There's just a wide cut
Well,
with
it
no
is-
dialogue at the
Right.
beginning, which I thought was really funny.
No, that was clever. There's a lot of really clever things in there.
Yeah.
And a ton of detail in this animation.
Yes.
Even more so than previous movies.
Right.
They had
I
lot
do have
more,
a
yeah.
note on that.
Oh, you do? Okay, good. Yeah.
But also a funny little added thing was when they're walking through the laboratory
Yeah.
and they have the VR set up and the cars are slowly walking into each other.
Yeah.
He's like, we need a little bit more work
yeah.
there.
Yeah, we're developing. Yeah, that was pretty funny. We're that's still under development. Yeah. The
Did
VR.
you notice any particular sound when she set up the simulator on the beach?
Any particular sound when you set up the simulator on the beach? Yes.
It does
I
the
did.
Mac
It does
startup.
the Mac startup.
Mac startup sound.
Whatever.
Yeah.
That whatever sound.
Which
I
is a
can't
funny
remember.
node to Steve Jobs, who started Pixar,
Yeah.
who also started Apple.
Gotcha. Right. Okay.
But
so
also, if you ever seen Wall-E, when
Yes,
Wall-E turns on,
yes,
it's a
that's
Macintosh
right.
starting up.
and that's Pixar.
Which also, I taught Bella last weekend.
Yes. About what a Mac is.
What?
What a Macintosh.
Well,
is?
that
an Apple Mac?
Macintosh is a type of Apple.
She didn't know that.
Well, like she knew that Macintosh was a type of Apple, but she didn't,
But didn't
know
make the connection.
Right, she didn't know that
Gotcha,
computer.
yeah.
The computer
Yeah.
used to be the
Yeah.
Macintosh,
Yeah.
and then it switched to iMac,
See,
MacBook.
I think Apple should do more of that. Like, here's the Granny Smith.
Right,
That's
yeah.
Here's the Golden Delicious.
Yeah. But
That's
so
a
we
great computer. What is
we went
that?
to an apple orchard
That's
and they named all the cats after apples. There was like barn cats or whatever at this apple orchard, and one of them was named Macintosh.
okay.
And I was like, oh yeah, they're all apples, 'cause
Right.
the Apple
Yes.
Mac. And she was
Right.
like, wait, what? And I was like, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. There's the Fuji, and there's the Golden Crisp.
Yeah, and there's
the-
also one of the race cars in the movie
Yeah.
is a Apple sponsored car in the
Is it?
background, and their number is 84.
Did you see the number on the door?
A113,
A113.
which is Pixar's number.
Yes.
I believe it was their first office was A113. So they put it into
probably.
like every movie.
Probably. But also our number is our family.
Right,
like
our family
113
lucky
is
number
like
is
our
113.
Yeah, exactly. So
So
it's always I always do notice that.
so going back to the Demolition Derby,
Yes.
when Lightning McQueen is so he covers himself in mud so he doesn't get
yes.
seen
Noticed,
by the paparazzi. Which
Right.
also, by the way, there's a scene where Guido says paparazzi and spits on the ground.
Paparazzi.
It was so funny.
Yeah, it's great because it
Yeah.
is Italian. It's like
yeah,
paparazzi.
and then he just spits.
But it's funny because we all know
Right.
exactly what he's saying. It's probably the first
Yeah.
time you actually know exactly what Guido's saying.
But so he covers himself in mud
Yep,
at the Demolition
yep.
Derby, and then at the very end, a water tanker
Yes.
tips over and sprays him,
Yes.
and it washes him off, and then it shows that he's actually Lightning McQueen.
Yes.
That water animation
Yeah.
was insane.
Yeah.
I mean, just
Yeah.
this was a 2017 movie, so
Yep.
made in 2016 and 15. The leaps and bounds ahead of what it used to be.
Yeah.
The water looked so real. It looked so good, and I know how hard that is to replicate.
Absolutely. So there's a couple things in there. Sorry, jeez.
Yeah, you're really
I'm just
really throaty today.
I am. So a couple things about that. You know why they have the water trucks out there at the Demolition Derby?
Well, yeah, for the mud, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
slick down the track.
Yeah.
So I used to go to the Demolition Derbies with my family like many
Which is
years
so
ago.
weird. Your family
is.
doesn't seem like the type.
No, not well. We were invited by other families,
Okay.
and then that's the only reason why we went. And then we would go, and then my brother entered into a demolition derby, and he was winning.
Yeah.
I mean, and then he spun out, but he did finish the race and everything. I think he got like third, if not higher. But anyway, we would go there and they would slick up the track, and I was like, why do they do that? Well, it's because the cars cannot build up enough speed to really hurt each other.
Right.
And that's why they have water trucks. So it actually made perfect sense that they had a water truck out there.
I think
good.
there was a shot of him spraying the
Yes,
track.
there is. That he's in the beginning. And they do those pyrotechnics. It really was like a throwback to my days of going to the Demolition Derby and how much fun it was to see everybody. And they would have teams, and they would always someone would have an ambulance, someone would have a mock police car, a mock ambulance, and they would dress them up, or a school bus, and they would dress them up and paint them and stuff like that. It really was a really good depiction of demolition derbies. And the figure eight was definitely something they did, and it was a mess. Oh my gosh, the amount of accidents in the figure eight was just fun.
I think I've only been to one demolition derby.
We got to go.
Yeah.
If they still do them.
One. I think out in Rockford.
Okay.
They
well,
do
there's so much fun. Yeah.
But I'm past the era of cool demolition derby though.
Why?
Because I went to one up in Lodi County, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
This is way back in the day.
Okay.
It's probably 2015, maybe 2014.
Okay.
And it was like Dodge Neons, like bubbly Ford Tauruses.
Oh.
Like the cars just aren't what they used to be.
It's true.
And what's interesting, again, I keep mentioning, I recently reviewed a Ford LTD in Mercury Colony Park. The guy owns a bunch of these big body cars, and he says that demolition derby guys hit him up all the time.
Yeah.
Because these late 70s big sedans with the 7.5 liter V8s.
Yep.
They take the emissions off of them. They take the glass out of them. And he's like, these things are unstoppable.
That's true. It is true.
As long as the radiator isn't destroyed and the block isn't shifted, then you're fine.
Especially the old wagons.
Yeah.
Station wagons.
Yeah.
Because what they would do is they would go in reverse and hit people in reverse. There's nothing behind the station wagon at all to get hurt.
You have a big battering ram.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So he's like demo guys hit me up all the time, and whenever I sell a car, I make sure that it doesn't go to the demolition derby. And most of the cars that he collects were taken out by demolition derbies.
Okay.
Because at the time you could buy them for $100 in 1985.
You could buy $100 car, and then you fix it up a little bit, paint it, throw it in the demolition derby, and have a lot of fun. So,
So that was a cool scene. The last note I had here, I thought was really cool when they went to the bar to meet up with all the old racers.
Yes.
It was called the Cotter Pin, which I thought was the perfect name for it.
Yes.
Because it's such an obscure car part.
Yes.
That like it definitely replicated those small town bars of like the Cow's Shoe Bar or like you know what I mean, like the Goat's Home, like those weird named bars.
Exactly.
I thought that was really cool.
But because we own a 1931 Model A Ford, that the cotter pin is actually for that car is one of the most used items on the car.
Even my RX-7.
Tons of cotter pins in there.
My suspension, I have my idler arm. Pitman
Yeah.
arm. My Pitman arm
yeah.
is real bad. The bushing
Yeah.
is no good.
Is there a cotter pin on that?
There's a
Oh,
castle
okay.
nut with a cotter pin on top.
No
Yep.
kidding. Wow.
Well, you have
yeah.
to remember the first gen RX-7 is pretty prehistoric when it comes to technology.
Okay.
It
All
has a
right.
solid rear axle. It has a steering box instead of a steering rack.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't even have a steering rack. So
Okay.
it's
All right.
it's essentially the Model A's steering.
Yeah.
But
right.
it does not have a horizontal leaf spring up front, thank God, like
Yeah.
the Model A does.
Well, yeah, but to that point of the cotter pins though is, it's interesting that the RX-7 has that, but definitely older cars
Yeah.
had cotter pins, lots of them in there, and they would have like a castle nut, and then you put the cotter pin through, and that really
And
held
bend
things
it,
together,
yeah.
and just bend it, and that would. So really, that was a great way
Yeah.
to bring. The bar's name was awesome, and I was wondering if you were going to catch that. If
I've
you were gonna
always
catch the cotter
appreciated
pin.
the attention to detail
Oh,
that they
yeah.
throw in there.
Amazing attention to detail, because even in the very last scene of the film, there's actually a picture, or there's not picture. There's an animation of Mater, and he's alone in the middle of this field, and he's in his corral,
Yeah.
and he has some lights on and stuff, and you see it's all dark around him, but then you see a street light, and if you look really carefully, there's tiny bugs flying around the street light, and that attention to detail is amazing.
Well, they zoomed in on them in the first Cars movie.
Oh, they
and their
did,
little
yeah, and their
Volkswagen Beetles.
bugs, yeah.
Which
Vol-
I
big
wish
Beetles.
she was worried. Getting back, Cruz was worried when she was driving on the beach
Yes.
that she was going to run over the crabs.
Yes.
And they never showed the crabs.
No, they never did.
I wish that they would have figured out some. Like, I'm wondering what kind of car a
Yes.
crab would be.
Yes. I don't know.
I don't know
But-
either.
They never showed. And maybe that was something that was perplexing to them, that they went, "Oh crap, we
Yeah,
have no
I mean,
way
maybe
to
they
show this."
Did a bunch of drawings.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
and a lot of the time they record sometimes the audio before.
Yes.
Or and
Yes,
that's the thing
yes.
about animation, is that you don't. It's not a very linear process.
Right.
Where it's like, hey, let's
Yeah.
come in and record or let's make a story, let's record the lines, and
Yeah.
then let's animate it. A lot of the times, a lot of that is happening simultaneously. So it could have been one of those things that it was just in the script, and they're like, we're going to animate it, and it came down to the wire, and they just couldn't
Right.
find a way. They didn't like a concept of putting, what do crabs have, 4 legs? 4 legs and 2 pinchers?
I think so. I don't know.
Like,
I'm
what kind
not
of car do you make that as? Do you just use a Volkswagen Beetle again, and then every
Right.
bug is a beetle,
Right.
or every animal?
Yeah, I don't think there was like a crab car. Like, there's no car that's a.
Nothing
crab.
really comes. Which is interesting that they
I mean, had
picked
they
up. Why wouldn't they have said sand beetles and
maybe.
used beetles?
Right, exactly. Or or you couldn't in that respect you couldn't do an Abarth, which is a
Oh
Scorpion.
yeah.
scorpion. So isn't that a scorpion, an Abarth?
Yeah. Well, that's at least the logo for the Abarth Fiats.
Yeah,
that
okay.
I would assume.
Something like that. I'm guessing. I don't know.
Or they should have done dune beetles.
Yeah.
Because that was actually a thing, is dune beetles, where I don't know if it was a factory trim package, but it's
Well, the
basically like a lifted
Volkswagen?
mud tires on a Beetle,
Yep.
exposed
Yep.
rear engine, and dune
Yeah, it was
buggies.
Yeah, it was a cool.
Why weren't they little dune buggies she didn't
dune
want to
bug-
hit? I don't know.
Dune buggies, it would have been cool. That would have been a fun little thing.
It was just like one of those weird things where like
Next
it's
time.
obvious that
Next
not
time.
everything from the real world translates to this
Next-
fictional car world.
Next time Pixar, call us.
Yeah,
That's all
just
we're
call us,
saying.
yeah.
Just call us. We're
Just
open
like
anytime.
how in the second movie there's car TSA.
Oh, right.
Like it doesn't
Yeah,
really.
exactly. Yeah. Well, and then too, the little, we've talked about this before in their universe.
Yeah.
The thing that really bothered me
Yeah.
was at one point, Lightning McQueen is watching a movie and an old film projector,
Right.
and it runs out, and I'm like, who threaded the film projector?
Right.
That's what made
Without
me
hands.
angry.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I was like, who threaded the film projector? Because that's not an easy task, first of all. For anyone with hands, that's
Yeah.
not an easy task. Now you've got a car doing that thing.
Right.
So, yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah,
So,
no, definitely. some inaccuracies
Yeah.
that I mean, but then again, you have to remember it's pretty much a kids movie, and
Yeah.
it is whatever. But end all be all, I really did enjoy it. I thought it was a great return to form.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good place to end it. I think.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
if they make a Cars 4 and a Cars 5, I think that might be, jumping the shark. But
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean,
well, so what they did was now that we own Disney Plus, we don't own it, but we own it.
we did buy it with
We did-
our $151 million. We actually
That's
bought
right. We
Disney.
bought Disney, which
Yeah.
is pretty crazy. No, so what I noticed obviously is they took the franchise and they made a lot of short films about Mater,
Right.
which is great.
That.
Which is
Love
great,
that.
and that's
Keep
a great idea.
Doing that forever.
Yes, right.
Why
I
not?
agree. So
I
make the
think
short little
that's
pieces,
and-
those
and-
things.
This is off topic, but it's us. So, it's,
Wow, that has
Yeah.
never happened. We have never strayed off topic.
I think I've talked about this on the podcast,
Yeah.
but I'm a big fan of the Halo franchise.
Yes.
And
Well, I mean, I know
the
it.
Halo franchise had 3 original games. Halo 1,
Okay.
Halo 2, Halo 3. And it was this arcing story, right?
Oh, okay. All right.
So
I
it
don't know
was-
anything about Halo. So,
Yeah, so it was this overall storyline, and it wraps up in this huge climactic ending
yeah,
in Halo 3.
Yeah.
You're on one of the Halo rings, which is like a synthetic world.
yeah,
And it's literally falling apart. Everything is exploding, and you have to drive one of the Jeeps. It's called a Warthog, but you get to drive a Warthog
yeah.
while the world is exploding, and you have to go
Really?
around and
Yeah.
like the world is like falling out from under you,
Yeah.
and then you climactically jump it into a ship, and it closes the door and it flies away.
Wow.
It's like one of those action movie endings,
Okay.
right? And it has this whole dramatic ending about how the war is over and
Yeah.
everything's going to go back to whatever.
Yeah.
Halo then, Bungie, who made Halo,
Okay.
sold the rights to another company.
Yeah.
And another company makes Halo 4,
Oh.
where you see the ship fly away, and it stays vacant for like 8 years or something.
Okay.
Sometime.
The ship or the planet?
The ship is like lost in space.
Okay.
So then the guy who you play as, Master Chief,
Yeah.
wakes up a couple years later,
Yeah.
and the guys that we were friends with at the end of the last game, they're
Yeah.
just the enemies again. For no reason. They're just the enemies.
What?
And now it's like there's this whole other thing, and
All
now
right.
they've made 3 more games based off of...
They have.
Yeah, and it's
Wow.
just like, oh, we're just doing this all over again, so it undid everything in the first 3 games, you know?
Okay. All
To my
right.
point, I'm getting
Yeah.
to a larger
All right.
point.
Are
here.
you?
There's before Bungie sold the rights,
Yeah.
they made a game called Halo 3 ODST,
Okay. Yeah, I remember that.
which was a game that took place in between. Well, it's a game that takes place during the second game,
Mhm.
but you do it from a different perspective because
Mhm.
there's this big explosion in the second game,
Yeah.
and then your character goes away and finds out who did the explosion, right?
Okay.
But this new game that they created, you're a soldier, a regular soldier, just on the ground during the explosion. And then the power goes out in the city. You have to find out like where your team is. And it's this really dark city, and you have to navigate your way through. And it's this really interesting, unique, different experience inside a world that was already created.
Okay.
So it was inside a storyline. It was just more filling out the storyline
oh, okay.
of something
All right.
that was already there. My end point in all of this being,
Yeah.
they should just keep doing that with Cars. And I think
Agreed.
almost
Agreed.
every franchise.
Yeah, I think that's a
Fill
great
out
idea.
what we already love
Yeah.
without undoing it. I
Agreed.
think that's what
Agreed.
happens, especially like with the Star Wars franchise,
Yes.
where if you haven't seen the most recent 3 movies, the recent trilogy, Palpatine is just randomly alive again.
What?
You haven't? Oh yeah, sorry, is that a spoiler for you?
Spoiler. Wow. Okay. There you go. Yeah.
Palpatine, like literally, they're like, "Oh yeah, Palpatine's still alive." By the way,
Wow.
like literally,
Okay.
they say it like
Right.
that, and it's like, okay, so you just undid that whole dramatic scene of Darth Vader killing him
Yeah.
in the 6th movie.
Yeah.
Like that was a very emotional scene. Takes the helmet off. Luke says, "Oh my God, Dad, you look like an egg," and then he's like, "Yeah," and then he dies. You know, I think that's how it's said. That image disturbed me a lot as
Yeah.
a kid.
Yeah.
The
The
old
dead-
Darth Vader
Yeah,
face.
he was very ashen, and ashen is a terrible, like a white ash gray
Yeah.
that someone looks like when they're actually dead.
Yeah.
That's a really creepy, horrible
Right.
color. It's like, ugh.
What other trilogies have just gone too far? Back to the Future, I think, was fine. Back to the Future
Oh
did
yeah,
enough.
Back to the Future was fine and done. I mean, that's
Yeah, that was done. Well,
had
they
they
never
done
made
more-
a fourth. So I'm
No,
trying to think of what got a fourth movie that just
that shouldn't
really.
have. That shouldn't have.
Okay,
or-
to be fair, I haven't seen Toy Story 4.
I have seen Toy Story 4.
Did you like it?
You know what? It wasn't bad. I liked it. I think it was a good movie. So I was
'Cause I
very
thought-
surprised.
Toy Story 3 kind of wrapped up nicely with Andy going to college.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. But now there's just like a new storyline with a new girl or something.
Yeah, there's a new storyline, and it is kind of weird. It's almost like you're really starting to drag this thing out.
Yeah.
And you do kind of feel like, okay, where is this going to end? How
I
is
like a
this gonna
solid
end?
3-movie arc or
Yeah.
3-story
Yeah.
arc. I think just things in threes are very aesthetically pleasing, vocally pleasing.
Yeah.
Like whenever I list stuff off with cars, like in a review, I usually
Okay.
will do a joke 3 times or,
Right.
you know, what? Why are you
Fast
laughing?
and Furious.
Fast and Furious, I mean, what are we doing? I mean, like,
Well, I'm wondering, when are they
Honestly,
going to go
if
into
should've-
space?
they
have
did.
Have they gone into
They
space?
did.
Oh, jeez.
Fast 9, we haven't reviewed it yet, but we
Oh
will.
my gosh.
Um,
Okay, spoiler. but
Literally,
yeah.
they go into space. They take a Fiero into space.
What the heck?
I'm being serious.
What the heck?
Speaking of which,
Dominic Toretto's going. Yeah,
family.
Family.
Speaking of which, I got
Family,
a
yeah.
comment
All
on
right.
my Fiero review. It was like a
Yes.
mean comment,
Mm-hmm.
and some guy commented. It was like, if I wanted to hear a stupid person ramble about the Fiero, I would just ask my wife about it. And I was like,
Wow. Wow.
I was
you
like,
just,
happy marriage. My God.
You just dissed your wife.
I was like,
hope
I
she
guess
doesn't
you're
read your
dissing
comments.
me, but like that's more of a diss
Yeah,
on yourself that
it
you just have
was.
an unhappy
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was like, that was kind of a self burn.
that was the most.
Um,
that was- yeah.
What
that
other
was,
movies have like Fast and Furious got terrible after Tokyo Drift. I will say Fast 5 was fun with the safe in
Yeah.
Rio de Janeiro.
Okay. Yeah, that
It
was
was
okay.
fun.
It was yeah.
But they should have never been spies. They should have never been secret agents. They should never have
Yeah.
done any of that.
Yeah.
Tokyo Drift even should have just been its own standalone movie.
Yeah, that should have been. Yes, I agree.
Whatever.
That should have been a totally different, separate
Um,
franchise movie, whatever.
trying to think of what else has like tons of movies.
Um.
Star Wars should have been left alone.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
prequels, I honestly kind of understand. I don't mind the prequels, 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't think they were good movies, but I understand them wanting to
It-
give more of a story. That's fine.
It
but
didn't take. Well,
they
okay.
weren't.
I don't think the first 3 movies, the prequels, took away from the 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I don't think it hurt them, in my opinion.
I don't know. I think it did.
Really?
I wasn't very happy with the
okay.
doing the prequels. I don't
Then you're gonna hate the most recent trilogy.
really.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then for which one? For Star Wars?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, like
Um,
what, 7, 8, and 9?
15, 12,
Yeah. Force
24,
Awakens.
whatever. Yeah, I
Force
don't
is
know.
getting
I-
tired again. Force goes to sleep.
Force
think is
takes a
the-
nap.
Yeah.
Force takes a dirt nap.
I think that's
Um,
the 3.
Yeah,
But,
the thing is that it got like they got way too complicated. That was my biggest issue with the Star Wars prequels.
Yeah.
They just got really, really, really incredibly, from my point of view, complicated. Like there was a lot of politics involved, and there was stuff that didn't
Well-
make sense. I've actually watched people do reviews of it and say, "Okay, but if they did this, why
Right.
does this have happen?"
I think
and all that.
I watched a video on this last night. I forget the phrasing. I think it's called the chastity of choice.
Okay.
But basically, the theory is that when someone is given too much freedom,
Yes.
essentially,
Yes.
it actually becomes more
More of a hindrance, or
yeah,
more
more of a hindrance.
Yeah.
So it was actually it was a video about Trader Joe's.
Oh. Okay.
And
All
the
right.
thing is that it was like why Trader Joe's is so successful, and they were saying in the video because
There's not much choice.
Right. They have a bunch of products.
Right.
But like when it comes to like ketchups,
Yes.
they carry 2 kinds of ketchup.
Right.
Maybe 1 kind of ketchup.
Right.
They only
Exactly.
carry 1 kind of this, 1 kind of that.
Yep.
But they have tons
Yep.
of different things.
Right.
So then you're not sitting in the aisle like at Walmart. You have like 18 different ketchups,
Yes.
4 of which are organics, 4 of which are
Right.
green for some reason. Do you remember the green and purple ketchups from the early 2000s?
I do. That was just weird.
Um,
I'm sorry. Ketchup needs to be red if you're going to have ketchup.
wow, I didn't know you were a ketchup purist.
I am.
I think ketchup can be any color it wants to be.
I don't see colors of ketchup.
Oh my god.
It's-
But
no,
it's interesting, and going back to Star Wars,
yeah.
because this has a lot to do with Cars 3. I think that world,
Tangent,
that
yeah.
universe is so limitless that
Yeah.
you could just introduce a new species
Oh yeah. Yeah,
and
you can
have
do
it
anything.
just introduce a new like literally an entire planet you
Yep,
could just introduce
Yep.
with its own people, with its
Yeah,
own this,
sure.
own that.
Yeah.
I think it's almost so limitless that they got carried away in a lot of the movies. I
Yeah,
think there should have
yeah.
been.
Yeah.
I mean, this sounds bad. There should have only been 2 species. Should only be 2.
Wow.
Snorlax and a man. That's how God intended it.
Wow.
No, I think that they almost
Yikes.
went over. Like, there's so many species, especially like in the.
Oh yeah.
Like in the scenes, with the guys with the big
cantina.
heads. The cantinas, thank you.
Cantina. Yeah. Yeah.
There's like so many different types of aliens and droids
Yep.
and
Yep.
all
yep.
that it starts to get really messy.
Right.
So
No, yeah, but that was like the very first movie. The very first movie had all of those different creatures
Right.
in there. And so, yes, there's this entire universe that we don't really know about that's supposed to have happened a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So, yeah, I get that. And the fact that there is such a limitless... I mean, that's what's so appealing to filmmakers is you're like,
Right.
wow, there's an entire world. And fan fiction and all the stuff that
I was
gets
just about to say
spins out of
fan
that
fiction.
stuff.
There's comic books.
Yeah.
I think there's comic books where Earth exists in the Star Wars
Oh,
universe.
I'm sure, yeah.
Where they've
Yeah.
gone and visited, but it's like I think it's like cavemen basically, and they're
yeah.
like, this is a dumb planet.
Gorlak and Bronk
yeah.
welcome them
Yeah.
to Earth.
So
Yeah,
I think that's sort of an
Well-
issue where it was like it's so limitless that you don't even know where to start.
So Star Wars, like they visit Fred Flintstone. Is that it?
Basically, yeah. It's a Fred Flintstone actually is canon in the Star Wars universe.
So Hanna-Barbera and
Yeah.
George Lucas got together and
Right.
said, "Hey, we're gonna cross over here."
Right.
And
Lightning McQueen is an Avenger.
So-
Actually, to be fair, I didn't
Yeah.
write this down, but there was a
Ah.
trivia fact that at the bringing this back to Cars 3,
yeah.
at the Demolition Derby, there's a car in the audience with a Captain America paint job.
Really?
So
Okay. All right. so,
potentially
yeah.
the Avengers exist in the car universe,
Oh, that would be weird.
and Lightning
Okay.
McQueen could be an Avenger. I'm just saying.
Wow.
Dude,
yeah,
everyone's an Avenger these days.
Oh,
I mean,
everyone
like
is, yeah.
it.
Yeah, I think about 9/10 of the movies out there are Avenger movies.
Right.
I think that are released
Which
every year.
actually, there's a TikTok account that
Yeah.
just talks about the cars of Marvel movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I haven't seen him post in a long time, but I was like, that's
Interesting.
such
Yeah.
a weird.
That is a weird
Yeah.
niche.
Well, it is interesting though, because most of the car movies have been sponsored by Audi.
Oh,
The-
yes,
the-
true.
the,
yes,
like,
that's
Tony
right.
Stark always drives off in an
Always.
Audi R8.
Yep. Yep.
And then all the Shield agents, like the
Yeah.
agents of Shield,
Yeah.
always pull up in like Audi Q8s.
Whatever. Yeah,
Those things
exactly.
they're kind of sick. But
yeah. So no,
this is
that's
funny.
cool. But I mean, it's yeah.
maybe
so-
maybe we'll do a episode about. We'll choose a couple Marvel movies to
Yeah,
talk
we could
about.
do that. We
with
could. Yeah, we could do them.
do some research into how much money Audi gave them for all of that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
No,
and
that's
then also
Mhm.
they Hyundai or
Mhm.
Hyundai, however you want to say it, the car company
Yeah.
made a Hyundai Kona, which our friend Jeff owns.
Yes.
that green
yes,
car?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They made an Iron Man edition.
No.
Yes, they did.
Was it, like
was
red
gray
and gold
with
or-
red accents
Oh, okay.
and had little Iron Man logos on the inside and outside. And I think the seats were red leather or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a trim
Okay.
package.
All right. Well, whatever. Yeah.
Nissan Rogue got a Star Wars edition.
Okay. Yeah.
And the Jeep Wrangler got a Call of Duty edition.
It did.
Yeah. There was a Call of Duty,
Wow.
specifically, this was in 2010, the Call of Duty Black Ops Jeep
Mm-hmm.
Wrangler.
Wow.
And it was matte black on matte black, and it had the Call of Duty symbol on the fenders.
Wow. So, like, what movie would be a really bad movie to have a car version of?
Big. With Tom Hanks.
Yeah, that would be a pretty dumb one to do one.
I'm trying to think of something that I've watched recently.
Yeah, leave your ideas in the comments if you're
Gone Girl I watched recently.
The Gone Girl car edition.
Yeah, which
I
she buys a cheap car with cash to get away.
She does. Okay,
Ford
all right.
Fiesta or Ford Festiva.
Yeah, then they could have done one. They
You know,
could have done.
I was going to make you watch 2 movies.
Yeah.
Gone Girl
Yeah.
and why can't I think of the name now? It's the movie where everyone in the world is dumb.
Oh, Idiocracy.
Idiocracy.
Yeah.
I was going to make you watch
Yeah.
Idiocracy and Gone Girl and make you draw a connection.
All right. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right.
Do you know what the connection would
I
be?
do
'Cause
not know what the connection is. What
They
would it
both
be?
have white Ford Festivas in
Oh,
them.
jeez.
The scene where
Wow.
he's going to get run
Okay.
over by the
Yeah.
the monster truck in Idiocracy,
Yep.
they put him in a Ford Festiva. It's a white Ford Festiva that
okay.
he has to drive
All right,
around.
all right.
And in Gone Girl,
Yeah.
the psychotic wife, as a getaway car, uses a white Ford Festiva.
Wow. I do have one question for you, though.
Yeah.
We still are talking about Cars 3, right?
Are we? I mean, are we, though? Here's the thing. There's honestly not a
Cars
whole
3.
lot to talk about. It's a Pixar movie, straightforward.
I think there's some more
Okay.
things to talk about. I think.
I'm all ears.
All right. Now, one of the things I wanted to say, you talked about the water.
Next.
Wow.
I'm just
That's-
kidding. The water effect.
The water effect was really awesome. Did you notice the water effect at the seashore, at the beach?
No.
Oh my gosh. Incredible.
Oh, really?
In fact, I think to me this was actually the most like photorealistic Cars movie
it
ever.
was really good.
There were some scenes where I literally was like, "Oh my gosh, that's not a real picture. That's not." I thought like some of the scenery when they show him driving to find McShadow or whatever his name is. No, what was the guy's name?
McShadow?
I don't know. It was
Oh, shoot.
Smokey,
Yeah.
So he's going to go find Smokey, right?
Yeah.
Who was the coach for Doc
Right.
Hudson. So he's going to go find him, and then he starts on this journey, and they go through these really wonderful, wonderful, wonderful landscapes. They show him going over bridges and going through mountains,
Yeah.
and you see there's like snow on the mountains and the rocks on the side. I'm like, I've been there. I have been through those places.
I would probably think that was modeled after the Blue Mountain Parkway,
Probably, yeah.
Blue Ridge Parkway,
Right. Okay. Yeah.
North Carolina,
Yes.
South Carolina, Florida, Georgia. That is NASCAR land.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so
All right. Well, then
that's,
true. Okay.
That's really where NASCAR
Yeah.
was born, northern Florida.
Yep.
On the beaches and stuff like that. So that was
So-
probably
Yes.
probably modeled after that, the Smoky Mountains, things like that.
And unbelievable scenery in this movie. Yes, I know it's an animation. However, really detailed, really realistic, really like I would love to be there. The other thing that I found with this movie, and they started to do it in Cars 2, but they really went to the extreme in this movie, and it's super, super subtle. It's the weather conditions.
Yeah.
So in this movie, like when they're on the beach, the weather changes a couple times, and it actually gets like gray out.
Oh yeah,
and
I noticed
overcast, and then they used that to an extremely good effect
that. Right.
in scenes where you would not even realize that weather affected the way that you were watching that movie.
Yeah.
Like it was overcast, not a sunny, beautiful day. Like it's not every day is a sunny, beautiful day.
Right.
And they use that to their advantage to say, okay, there's some clouds, so some things bad are kind of, there's some storm clouds, so
And also-
things are a brewing,
Right.
on the horizon. So it's very interesting.
From working with cars in my day job,
yes.
it affects a car a lot when it is sunny versus
True.
overcast.
Yes.
I love filming on overcast days.
Yeah.
because the shadows are a lot softer.
Yes.
The reflections
Yep.
in the car are a lot
Yep.
softer. It's not this harsh light.
Yep.
And on an overcast day, turn the wheel, turn the headlights on, the car's going to look good.
Yeah.
But on a sunny day, you have these harsh angle, whatever.
Mhm.
So getting that right in the movie, which they did, is
Yes.
a struggle because the cars are glossy.
Yes.
Glossy is going to reflect a lot. And
Yep.
so on the
Yep.
overcast days, you have to make the cars look different.
Yes.
And
Yes.
vastly different. And
Yeah.
I remember when we reviewed the first Cars movie,
Yep.
they had to make a new program for rendering
Yes.
the
Right.
reflections in the
Yes.
cars
Mhm.
because Pixar
Right.
had never done something with such high gloss.
Incredible amount of mathematics, by the way.
Right.
To do that properly. Yeah.
And
unbelievable.
to-
Yeah.
The sparkle of paints, the reflections in
right.
paints,
Yep. Yep.
is just crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
it's
So
really,
yeah,
really cool.
hats
Speaking,
off to the animators.
absolutely hats. Oh my gosh, these guys are amazing. So that leads me to the question of, when did Lightning McQueen get headlights? When? You tell me. You tell me right
Oh
now.
yeah, he used his headlights, didn't he?
He does. He actually uses headlights. And when they're in the forest, they go, okay, turn them off. We're just going to use our sense of whatever.
Which
And he turns off his headlights. Lightning McQueen has always had stickers, never headlights.
I was gonna say, you know what? I never noticed that.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's like him, like at the end of the first Cars movie where he kind of became like a normal average guy. I
right.
wonder if they like installed headlights.
Maybe. But
Um,
they never really
Is
bring
that
it
like
up.
the Cars world equivalent of like a boob job or something? Like
I don't know.
augmented.
It's an augmented, yeah. It's,
But anyway, but
no, it's
your
interesting.
point is interesting because in the very first movie,
Yep.
do you remember the line where someone asks him where his headlights are and he goes,
Yeah.
race cars don't have headlights.
Right.
The track is always lit.
Yes.
They make a point of
Yep.
him not having headlights.
Exactly. I think Mater says that. He doesn't
Yeah.
have a rear view mirror,
Yeah.
and I don't think he does.
They
He
should
doesn't
have
have side mirrors or whatever, but yeah.
they should have done like attached fog lights to his head or something, like a headlight, like a
that would have
headlamp
been
you would
that would have
wear.
been great. That would have
Yeah.
been hilarious. Again, Pixar, please call us.
Yeah, call us.
Call us when
What are
you're
you doing?
we can help you out with
We
this.
are
kind of
also
stuff.
consultants.
Yes, we can help you out with that type of stuff. But really, the atmosphere, the lighting, the just the incredible animation, really, in this movie
Yeah.
is absolutely stunning. I was really blown away by that. Absolutely,
Yeah.
the attention to detail and all that stuff. From the storyline, I'm like, yeah, okay. I like the story. Don't get me wrong. I actually like this story. I think
Yeah.
it's awesome, and it's an awesome way to end out the trilogy. And it's a nice way to do it, with him retiring, kind of taking the place of Doc and doing that same thing in Circle of Life, blah, 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 blah. Okay, all that stuff is great. So, but I did, even more than that, the story and everything, appreciate the amount of work, the effort, everything that went into making this so
Yeah.
incredible as far as visually stunning. One thing I do have to say that I wasn't really happy about that I would have changed, and again, Pixar, just give me a call anytime you want, is the fact that the voice for Cruz is too similar to the voice of Sally. I thought, for me, the voices of those two female cars was way too similar. So every time I heard Cruz, I was thinking, wait, that's Sally.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. And
Yeah,
it was
I
way
wish
too similar.
I wish that they would have fleshed out, whatever that
Yep.
term is, McQueen and Sally's relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the first movie, they're
True.
like dating,
True.
I guess.
Yeah.
The second movie, he sees her twice in
Maybe,
the whole movie.
maybe.
And this movie, he sees her like 2 or 3 times.
I mean, it's like they have a long distance relationship, but at the end of the movie, he like says "love you" and she says "love you" more.
Yeah, but are they married? I mean, it's been 11 years.
Let's get to the bottom of that, right?
It's been
exactly.
11 years
They
since
need to commit.
between movies.
They need
Yeah.
to commit.
And then I was thinking about that. I was like, when you get married, do you get do you get her like a big hubcap or something? Or
I don't know. Like, what do you do? What's that? Do you have kids? I mean, how
do you have go-karts?
go
But then do they morph into
right?
regular cars?
How
I don't know.
would they get larger? Yeah, how would they grow?
There's some
It's
plot holes in a film
the
about cars
whole
being alive,
bizarre-
for sure.
Definitely, yeah.
But I do have some trivia. If you'd
Okay,
like to get
yes,
to some
yes.
trivia.
Let's get to trivia.
A couple of them are long-winded.
Okay.
But
right.
kind of interesting.
All right,
if I
good.
do have to say so myself.
Well,
So,
let's only do the interesting ones.
sponsored by, but in no way.
Not sponsored by.
Brought to you by, but in no way sponsored by IMDb. Which
Yeah.
I also found out these are user-generated.
Oh, okay.
So
thanks to everybody who did
yeah,
them.
thanks to the people who submit these.
Yeah, but
Because I was always wondering why there was some trivia facts that were
Yep.
stated twice, just worded
Oh,
differently.
yeah. Right. Yes,
Um,
definitely. Yeah. All right.
But anyway, in June 2017, Entertainment Weekly reported that during the voice actor recording process for Cars, the 2006 film,
Yep.
John Lasseter spent a lot of time in the recording booth with Paul Newman, who often relived some of his stories about his life and many years as a race car driver. Lasseter said, in a way, he mentored me in racing because car racing was his true life's passion, and I made sure that whenever he came into the recording booth, we were recording everything.
Oh, good.
In between takes, he would tell me stories about great races, and you can hear the passion in his voice. Those recordings made it possible for Doc Hudson to reappear in this movie, released over 8 years after Newman's death.
Wow.
Lasseter explained that as we started Cars 3, we went back to every recording we did for Cars 1 and cataloged and listened to it all, and ended up with a lot of material that we could use. Lines that were cut from the original film and never used, as well as some of those pieces from the in-between takes.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That
so
is so cool.
because there were a couple voices in this movie that they switched the voice actors
Yeah,
for.
they weren't the original voice actors.
And so
right.
it was cool that they were able to cut enough from the previous recordings
Yes.
to actually have Paul Newman as Doc Hudson.
Yeah,
which
that
is really, really cool.
very cool.
And
Yes.
also I read
Yeah, very cool.
that one of the lines, I think from the intro of the movie where Doc is talking, is actually pulled from the video game.
No.
So they did a Cars. They Pixar does these like tie-in video games.
Okay.
When a movie comes out, they'll
Yeah.
release a video game that it's real short. It's
Okay,
not like there's
yeah.
not a whole lot of playability.
Okay,
But
yeah.
when Cars came out for PlayStation 2, I think they released this like Cars play-along game, and you got to drive as Lightning McQueen, and there was
Okay.
Doc was teaching you how to drift. Basically, it was for PlayStation. It was a quick game.
Okay. All right.
Equivalent of like what we would now consider like a phone app game. Like you
Okay.
can beat it in probably
Yeah.
like an hour.
Okay.
Yeah. But so they had Paul Newman do some lines for the video game.
Yeah.
And so they actually ended up using some of those lines
Wow.
for stuff like this.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
Excuse
it really it was cool to hear him in this movie. I mean, it was really neat.
Next one. When Cruz Ramirez
Ramirez, that's
Cruz Ramirez
yeah.
is training the new millennial cars on the treadmills. She plays music for one car to remind him of his home, and shows
Yeah.
him a scene on the television. Do you remember that?
I do.
The
I do.
scene is actually from Coco, which was a
Is it
different
really?
Pixar movie.
Oh, hilarious! That's great. Yeah.
And the car
That's cool.
comes from Santa Cecilia, Santa Cecilia, which is where Coco takes place. So they literally just
Oh.
used a frame from a different
Wow.
Pixar movie as his home
Wow.
place.
That's
Which is
very
pretty
cool.
funny.
I think that's pretty funny.
I think
I love the
it's-
crossover there.
Yeah,
That's
because it
cool.
makes Pixar feel like not a giant corporation. It's
Yeah.
like when I make reviews, I pull footage from other reviews because I'm
Yeah,
just one
yeah,
guy
yeah.
with a hard drive
Yeah.
and a computer.
Yep, I know.
So it kind of gives it that feel.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's I didn't know that, and that was very
Yeah.
a neat little tie-in there.
Another actually death. Tom Magliozzi. Magliozzi.
Magliozzi.
Magliozzi.
I don't know.
Tom Magliozzi died in 2014. Instead of hiring a sound-alike, filmmakers reviewed old transcripts from Car Talk to find lines that would serve Rusty.
Oh.
So one of the Car Talk guys died. Car Talk was a
Yeah.
weekly NPR
Right.
radio show hosted by Tom and Ray Magliozzi.
I'm sorry. I don't know how to pronounce
where
that.
they were known as Click and Clack.
Yes.
The Tappet
Yep.
Brothers, "Don't drive like my brother" was their catchphrase at
Yes.
the end of the show.
Yes.
So the people who own Rusty's
Right.
in
Yes.
Cars 3 were
Yeah.
voiced by these guys, and they were able to again piece together lines from old Car Talk episodes, which is interesting moving forward with technology and deep fakes.
Yes.
I mean, I think about myself personally, where I put out about 6 Or no, I put out not 6. I probably put out about an hour to an hour and a half of content a week in my reviews.
Right.
And we put out an hour and a half of our voices every single week.
Yeah.
You can probably chop what we're saying up and make us say anything if you know how to edit audio.
Yeah.
So then with how good deep fakes are getting.
Yes.
You could definitely I would love to hear an AI create one of these podcasts.
Oh.
If we just fed it hours of the podcast.
You could. It's possible.
I'm saying, technology is crazy. So it is cool that they were able to keep characters. But then again, when George Carlin died, they just got a new actor for Fillmore.
Yes, true.
They didn't piece together that.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So Cal Weathers, the old generation 42 Dynaco car in the film, is voiced by Kyle Petty.
Oh,
Kyle is the son of Richard Petty, who voiced the King, the 43 dyno car. Kyle raced for many years in NASCAR, but had less success when compared to his father's 7 championships and 200 race wins. The running gag in the movie, where Cal overhears his replacement attempts, makes more sense with this background information.
Actually, that's very funny because I was going to mention that. It was a great ongoing gag. He's like, I can hear you. I'm like here, you know.
And he's getting replaced.
He's like, we need to find another driver. He's like, well, wait a minute. I'm still here. Very funny. During the end credits, a sticker appears reading, "I love both kinds of music, country and western."
This is a reference to the Blues Brothers. 1980.
Yes, it is.
So, yeah.
Yeah, where they go to Bob's Country Bunker.
Oh, yeah,
And she goes, we have both music kinds here, country and western.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The name of the bus character is Miss Fritter.
Yes.
A likely reference to the teacher Miss Frizzle from the PBS animated series The Magic School Bus, because it is a school bus.
That's pretty hilarious because the school bus is very it's a hardcore school bus. It's like it's got the chain through the nose kind of thing.
There's so much personality they put into those demo cars. It was really,
unbelievably
really cool to see.
Very, very cool. Very fun. Yeah.
This one's one of my favorites.
Okay.
Lightning McQueen says, "Wow," 8 times throughout the movie.
He does.
Yeah. Which, if you don't know, Owen Wilson is typecast as saying "wow." He goes, "Wow," you know.
Wow.
And there's actually a compilation on YouTube of chronologically every "wow" from every Owen Wilson movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone did.
So,
which
I mean, that's like me saying, "Really?"
Yeah.
I mean, now that I listen to this, I say that way too often.
Yeah, which is, that's a terrible part of editing is you figure out all these little nuances and tics that you have.
Yeah.
Which I have. I just have so many.
We all do. Everyone has it. It's just the way that we talk.
Yeah.
It's the way it's human beings.
I say a lot.
I say
a lot.
I say like. When I'm listening to things, I say like.
Yeah.
I say really. Yeah. I probably every single podcast I've said really.
Yeah.
At exactly that
now
same
people
way.
are gonna have like a drinking.
Yeah,
game
they
for
are,
it.
and
Last one.
Yep.
Which we kind of already touched on, but
right.
This marks the first time that Chick Hicks is not voiced by Michael Keaton.
Right. Yes, that was another one I was going to say. It's he's not Michael Keaton, which was pretty crazy. I'm Batman.
Yeah, Batman. So, which is interesting. I wonder if they approached Michael Keaton or if they didn't want. I can't admit because Chick Hicks was not in it a whole lot.
No,
there could
not
have been more than a day of recording. So I wonder if something happened or
he would have had less to do than what was the movie Redline?
Need for Speed
or Need for Speed,
where he was like the director or whatever.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So that would have been less. He would have gone in for like literally a half hour to do his lines, and that maybe at the most. It would have been boom, done. And he's a pro, so he would have been done quick, but yeah. So that's crazy. So is that the end of the trivia?
Yeah, that's all my trivia I have for you.
I don't remember if there was something else I was going to say about the movies.
Normally we talk about in these movies, like I'll give some history of like the cars that are in the movie.
Well, we can't.
But I don't know what displacement Lightning McQueen is, or I don't know production years.
Actually, you know what? That's a really good point, and that's something I did want to bring up. Is I thought they did an awesome job with showing the new version of the cars.
Yeah.
And how they differentiated like the old version, which was Lightning McQueen, where it was very curvy cars.
Yeah.
And the newer versions had sharp edges.
Yeah. downforce, lower drag coefficients.
Yeah, and
the sound of them sounded like they were hybrids.
Yes, and so it's amazing to me that they were able to do that for so many different cars. Because remember, they had a lot of different new.
Yeah.
I'm doing air quotes here. New car models.
Right.
That were the new versions of these things that were taking place of the old ones. So cool that they were able to create. It was a very distinct look.
Yeah.
It was a very, very distinct modern look. And it was amazing. Again, great job.
Yeah. What's interesting is that we're actually seeing a lot of that in actual motorsport.
Yeah.
I think it's in. I think they use them now, but NASCAR was working on the next gen car for quite some time. They were updating a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I think they might be switching to fuel injection for NASCAR.
Okay.
Which is like a big deal. I mean, they've been running carburetors forever, and I don't really follow NASCAR, so I don't know specifics, but I remember there was like pictures of like what the next gen car was going to have and all this stuff, and then especially with F1.
Yeah.
Right now, they are turbo hybrids, so there's a gasoline engine. I believe gasoline V6s with a hybrid system on it.
Okay.
So they're hybrids, like a Prius.
Yeah.
But in the past they've used V8 turbos, they've used V12s, and so it's kind of categorized like as the V12 era of cars. And then now we're into the hybrid era of cars.
Yes.
And there's a couple drivers that are currently in F1 that have seen two different eras of cars. Where they were champions with V12s, but now that are V10, it might be V10 or V12, I can't remember, like the mid 2000s. But now it's the hybrid era, and so it's interesting seeing if because a lot of drivers dropped off, they weren't as good with the hybrid era because the car handles totally differently and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that is something that we saw probably around the time this movie started pre-production. Was that sort of change in technology. You don't really get it as much with lower racing series, like Spec Miata is always going to be Spec Miata.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because they made a different class for the ND Miata. So the new Miatas are in a different racing category in total. They don't go into spec at all.
All right.
So it is cool, and it's cool that they incorporated that, and I think overall I really did like that sort of I liked that they showed kind of not a downfall of Lightning McQueen like the SNL skit.
Oh, well, no, it wasn't like that
but like
at all.
It was like
a
kind of accepting that time moves on.
Yep.
I feel like not a lot of kids' movies are like, hey, your day's gonna come.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a time where
sunsetting.
Yeah. There's gonna be a sunset to all of this, and there's gonna be a point where you take a step back and say, hey, I think the next generation is better than me for the first time ever, whether that be in your, at whatever point in your life,
or
profession.
Which, by the way, I think this is the first podcast. But interestingly enough, the first podcast that you have not mentioned putting me in a home. I just want you to realize that you
I don't do it
miss
all
that. You do it almost every.
Don't worry, I think about it all the time, but I don't say
there
it
you go.
out loud.
All right, so fine.
I mean, come on, I have some class.
I've had people actually tell me. I've had people that listen who go, "Oh my gosh, your son wants to put you in a home," and I'm like, "Yeah, well, I know that." Yet,
I'm not paying for you to be in a home.
Wow, just push me in the street.
No, you're gonna have your house, and I'm gonna just do like monthly checks.
Monthly, thank you.
I'll make sure that
I hope I hear from you more than once a month in life. That's
we're stuck doing this podcast.
True.
So
good. Yeah.
Now you have me locked in.
All right. There you go. Okay.
No, I'm not going to put you in a home.
All right. So
I've spent a lot of times in those nursing homes, and
yeah, actually, I have two.
Not going to do that to you.
Thank you. No, I would escape from Alcatraz. I would like dig through the wall with a spoon to get out. And then I put a paper mache head in my bed to pretend like I was there, and then I'd totally escape. And then I'd like drive to Switzerland or something.
But I hope you paper mache like someone that doesn't even look like you. Like, guys, Gary just left a small Asian lady paper mache, and it wasn't even relatively close.
Completely different ethnicity.
The doll is
completely
4'5".
Yeah,
like it's not even.
It's not even. Yeah, and it's skinny. This guy's not exactly a skinny guy.
Yeah.
So no, I wouldn't do that.
I'm not going to put you. If you want to go to
I would
home,
escape.
that's fine. But
No. I would escape. Okay. I would go. No.
You're just definitely not living with me. I tell you what. That's not happening for sure.
Yeah, well, that's not happening. I'm just going to assure you that as well.
I know.
No,
Once I'm out of here, I'm not.
You're done.
Yeah. Well, I don't live here because I have my $151 million
That's true.
apartment.
That is true. Yes, and we
Which
are in Florida.
why would I have an apartment for $151 million?
I don't know. Anyway,
my mansion. My mansion.
exactly.
Yes, with my flying Tesla.
Sure, whatever.
With terrible panel gaps. God, I just.
You are on this thing about Teslas and
Well, I've
panel
reviewed a
gaps.
couple of Teslas recent. I drove a $71,000 Tesla.
Yeah.
Model Y performance. 0 to 60 in I think like 2.3 seconds.
Yeah.
Fastest thing. It made me want to
That's
upchuck my lunch hitting
respectable.
the gas.
Respectable.
Insane.
Yeah.
It is inhumanly fast.
Yeah.
Like faster than a rocket ship.
Very quick.
$70,000, $71,000.
Yep.
The panel gaps
Yeah.
were just so inconsistent.
Were
the
they?
top of the hood, I could fit my finger through the panel gap, but then as it got down towards the bottom, it was so tight the paint was rubbing off on itself.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
So they just didn't position the body
Okay.
panels well, and so I'm sitting there as someone who has personally spent $23,000 on their own car,
Yes.
and I have not found a panel gap that annoys me.
Really? Yeah. All
I
right.
haven't. And, I there's a plastic panel that fell off in the back. Well, actually, it didn't fall off. The Mazda dealer didn't put it back on when they did my window seals.
Really?
I looked
Yeah,
in the
okay,
back the other
okay.
day, and there's a plastic panel on the ground. I was like, "Where'd this come from?" And I looked at the door, and it was just off.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh," and literally the bolts were inside the panel, so like they just didn't put it back on.
Oh, okay.
Whatever. But I spent $23,000 on that car, and it's not
Yes.
perfect.
Yes.
The paint is terrible, but
It's
whatever.
a great car.
It's a great car. Why would I spend 3 times the amount
Mm-hmm.
and get worse panel gaps? Yes, it's faster, and it's an electric car, and I understand that a lot of R&D goes into electric cars, which makes them more expensive, and the batteries are expensive, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But once I show everyone in my friend group how fast the car is,
Yeah.
the nuance is going to be gone.
Yes.
The honeymoon phase is going to be gone.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hit 100 miles an hour in 4 seconds every time I go to Jewel or every time I go to work. That's not something that I have to deal with every day.
Maybe 50% of the time, but not all the time. Yeah.
God, I don't have to go to Jewel that bad. But
Right.
what I do have
Yeah.
to put up with every day is looking at the thing
Right.
and seeing the
Yes.
panel gaps.
That
seeing
really
things fit
bothers
to-
you. That is
Well, yeah, it's
really,
because-
really bothers you. Yeah.
Because I put the video out and everyone gave me crap for it.
Oh.
Because they're like, but you're forgetting the fact that it's so fast and it has like so much electric range. And I'm like, the amount of times I've driven more than 300 miles in a day, for me, probably
for you,
10 times this year.
for you, it has happened.
Probably
yeah.
10 times this year
Yeah.
I've driven more than 300 miles in a day.
Right. Yeah.
But that leaves 355 other days that
Sure.
I didn't
Yeah.
hit that limit.
Yeah.
So I don't really care about the range of an of an EV car.
Gotcha.
0 to 60 is super fast.
Yep.
I'm going to use that on the highway, but
Right.
I use it for 3 seconds, and then I'm way above the speed limit where
Yeah.
I
Right.
will probably be thrown in jail if I get
Right.
caught doing it.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
I'm not going to do that all the time. In town, I'm not doing 0 to 60 pulse.
Right.
What
Okay.
am I doing in town? Sitting in traffic looking at my own car.
Yep.
I'm going to notice the panel gaps and stuff. That's what
Yeah.
pissed me off
All right,
about
okay.
the Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT8
Okay.
from 2010. Very fast car,
Yep.
or very fast SUV.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
But the inside is like a Grand Caravan.
Is it?
So if I'm sitting in traffic, I paid 60 grand for this Jeep,
Yeah.
and it feels like I'm in a rental car.
Well, okay, I get that.
You
I
have to
understand.
think about the
I-
everyday.
I do. I understand that. What I need to ask you is, would you watch it again? If it was on TV?
Cars
I'm
3.
trying to
We're
pull
getting
you
there.
back
Yeah,
to,
sorry.
Trying to pull you back to the. That's right. It's fine. Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
So
watch it.
it was
I
on-
don't know if I'd sit down and dedicate myself, but, my girlfriend does have younger siblings. If they
Sure,
were like, hey,
sure,
we want to
yeah.
watch Cars 3, I'd be like, okay, yeah, let's
Yep.
do it.
Yeah.
I'd do that.
So I mean, if it was on, would you change the channel? That's
No,
our
I don't
usual
think I'd
question.
change the channel. I actually kind of liked it, so.
Okay. All right.
And there were some funny points that I'd look forward to, definitely with Guido and,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So what about
Yep.
you?
If it was on, I would definitely keep it on. Probably actually even sit down and watch it. I really enjoyed it. Mostly, I would watch it for the beauty of it. I mean, there's so many cool scenes and so many wonderfully, I know it's an animation, but wonderfully lit scenes.
Yeah.
and how they used lighting and how they used all this. I mean, to me, it's a beautifully crafted movie,
Yeah.
and I would definitely watch again. At least for that. If for nothing else, I would watch
Yeah?
it. Yeah, definitely so.
All right.
All right, so next movie. Wait, is it your turn?
Yeah, it is my turn.
Okay, your turn.
I
All
have an internal
Oh, boy.
debate
All right.
because there's one movie that is interesting
Okay. Oh,
and kind of
okay,
fits
all
in with Christmas time.
right. Yeah.
Or there's another movie.
That's a piece of crap that
well,
we
okay.
both hate. No.
So I'm gonna bleep this so you don't know what the other option is.
Oh, you
But
are. You
I
are
am between or
Okay.
because
all right.
that second movie I list. Well, I'm gonna bleep.
Okay.
Some people say it's a Christmas movie, and it's an '80s movie,
Right.
so it might have some cool cars in it, and it's around Christmas
Okay,
time.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. I see
So,
what you're saying.
or is a classic
Of course.
that we
Yes.
have to do at some point.
We
I
do.
feel like we
Absolutely.
need to do more well-known movies.
Yes.
We kind of took a little bit
We
of
did.
time to do
We did take
some real offshoots.
Yeah, we did.
So,
okay.
what do you think?
Jeez. I'll tell you what. Let's do because it's more Christmassy. Let's do Die Hard.
Okay.
Okay.
So they will not know that was the other option.
Right.
So you'll never know. You'll never
Right,
know.
You'll never
what that
know
other
what the
movie
other
was
option
until we do
was. And then we have. You know what? We also, by the way, can we talk about the fact that we both got the same movie?
Let's talk about that when we do that movie.
Okay,
when
we'll
we
talk
do that
about that.
movie, we'll tell that story.
Yes, we'll tell that. It's a hilarious. I thought it was a hilarious.
So that'll
story.
have to wait for Crayon season of
Yes,
2022.
we're looking forward to that next year with our
But yeah,
website. and
so the
everything,
next movie will be Die Hard.
Die Hard. Yep,
John
the
McClane.
original.
Yeah,
The
the
original.
original,
Die Hard.
which
Yeah.
people say is a Christmas movie.
Yes.
Because it takes place in Christmas time, right?
All right. Yes, and as I'll do my favorite.
God.
What was it? Rickman imitation.
Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman.
Oh yeah, he's in this movie. I forgot.
Ho, ho, ho.
Oh God. So get ready for that for an hour and a half. And also, jeez. We do want to say next the episode after that will be Christmas Cars. So if you want to order your DVD,
Yes.
you have to order the DVD.
You have to actually order.
It's a
you
movie
know
called
what it
Christmas Cars. It has the General Lee on the front. That's all you need to know. I would highly recommend ordering it
Yep.
and watching it before the episode. But again, that's one of the movies you can only order the DVD online.
See, with our website, we'll have links available.
Right.
So
but
which would be
that's
cool.
that's
But
our
that's
Christmas
something.
break.
Yeah, that's our.
thing.
I got to work on that. I
So
should probably do that.
it's okay.
Probably work on it.
So next
Yep.
week will be Die Hard.
Yes,
So that'll be
that
fun.
sounds like fun.
We'll point out all the cars in Die Hard. There's a lot of cop cars.
Are there?
Well, there's the whole with the
Oh,
Nakatomi
and there's
Plaza.
the
There's all the
van,
cop
and
cars.
there's
There's the
yeah,
van.
there's a van. All
I'm
sorts
sure
of stuff,
we'll
yeah.
bring up the Ford LTD at some point.
Okay,
I'm sure there's a
yes.
bunch of Ford LTDs in the movie.
All right.
We'll
okay.
talk about the cars of Die Hard. It's a Christmas movie.
Yeah. it's
Christmas-ish,
fun. Good.
so we'll talk
Christmas-ish.
about it then. But
All right.
hope you guys are enjoying December.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Thank you guys so much for listening. You can listen to us on YouTube or Spotify or iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts. We are usually found. So thank you guys
Yeah.
so much for listening.
All right. Bye-bye.